Hey guys, and recently I've seen some discussion from some people about how they want Mario Kart to become Nintendo Kart, which thankfully isn't the case, or the fact that they want Mario Kart to have a larger presence of crossover characters and crossover courses. And I've also seen a lot of people discuss the possibility of a new 3D Mario game that's essentially one huge crossover of different Nintendo franchises with Mario going between different series. And this second one was also a rumor, while very unlikely. I still have seen a lot of discussion and speculation around it, and I wanted to discuss why Mario becoming heavily involved with crossovers or becoming one big series that involves crossovers really isn't a good idea. I know it's very unlikely, but I don't really like the idea of this because I have seen some people push that idea around as we're going into the Switch 2 era. But before we get started, I wanted to mention that I have the goal to hit 30,000 subscribers before the Switch 2 launches, so if you enjoy my content, consider subscribing, and if I hit that goal, I will give away a copy of the new Mario Kart game. But yeah, I think heavily revolving this franchise around crossovers isn't really a good idea. And I'm not saying that crossovers are bad, the idea of crossovers isn't inherently bad. Sometimes it can be amazing. Mario plus Rabbids was an amazing idea, and Mario and Sonic was a fun spin-off series as well. This was not what I was referring to. Crossovers can be cool. I'd honestly love to see a crossover with Kirby in the Mario RPGs. But my problem is Mario becoming a host for Nintendo IPs, kind of like Smash. I guess Smash is technically more than just Nintendo IPs now, but you get my point. I feel like one reason why it's kind of a problem is because it limits the scope of what Mario can do. In spin-offs, it kind of limits the scope of characters that they can add. If they add a bunch of crossover characters, that kind of takes the place of characters that could be from other Mario games. That would kind of make the roster feel more of a celebration of Mario, like the Mario RPGs, WarioWare, and even more Donkey Kong characters like K. Rool. These characters can coexist with crossover characters, and I think that's the ideal scenario if we get all of these characters and a few crossover characters kind of mixed in. But at the same time, I do feel like it is a little limiting if they were to kind of prioritize crossover characters. So that's why I do think they should prioritize extended Marioverse characters before other Nintendo characters. That's just how I feel they should handle it. And with 3D Mario or other parts of the Mario franchise, I feel like making it one big Nintendo crossover would it would really miss out on kind of expanding upon the Mario universe or creating entirely new characters, because that's one thing that I love about 3D Mario, kind of exploring these completely new, interesting worlds, or places that are at least kind of interesting or offer something new to the table. Super Mario Odyssey had a ton of interesting worlds, new characters and NPCs, and was just amazing. I really want to see more of that for 3D Mario. I want them to continue to do that rather than just kind of rehash older ideas and older things. I mean, even though it would technically be a new idea for Mario, it would still not really be as creative and innovative as previous 3D Mario games. And another thing is that relying too much on the crossover aspect would make the franchise feel like an IP dumping ground. If in some scenario where Mario Kart has a ton of crossover characters and 3D Mario kind of delved into that even for just one game, it would just kind of devalue the franchise a little bit. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I think, like I said, I think Mario kind of flourishes on having its own identity and being more creative. And that kind of brings me into my next point. Ideas like having 3D Mario being, having a Nintendo crossover theme for the Switch 2 kind of feels like an idea that came from someone who thinks Mario is a blank slate and isn't really a franchise that has much personality and creativity. That is like one stigma that comes from a lot of people who see Mario on a surface level. Like, yeah, if you just see like the new Super Mario Bros. Series or just some of the Mario Kart games, there's really like not that much to see on the surface. But if you look into it more, like if you look at the Mario RPGs, even the world building of Mario Kart 8, and like the 3D Mario games, just like with the amount of characters and even little stories or more interesting stories in the Mario RPGs, the Mario franchise has quite a lot to offer and is definitely a very fleshed out universe. So it really shouldn't be kind of really made into some kind of IP dumping ground, like I said. It really is much more than just Nintendo's mascot. It really isn't a blank slate. There really is a lot to the Mario franchise that I feel like more people should appreciate. So that's why I think the Mario franchise should focus more on kind of embracing its history and the amount of characters it has, rather than delving into those crossovers more. And the way they would represent different series in a potential crossover 3D Mario game, or as well as heavily revolving Mario Kart around it as well, is that like a lot of these series being represented would have very kind of generic themes based on like whatever series is being represented. Like Zelda, for instance. I mean, Hyrule Circuit in Mario Kart is a cool one-off little thing, but it is a very generic representation of Zelda, and if we were to have it in like a 3D Mario game, it really wouldn't be as interesting as you think it would. Like, if you were to represent Zelda in like in that form, like there's really only so much they can do. Like a lot of characters, a lot of fan favorite characters wouldn't be represented, and they probably wouldn't choose like a specific timeline or, well, specific game or time period of the Zelda universe to put it in. They'd probably just create one for that. So it would definitely miss out on a lot of opportunities. The same goes for things like Pikmin as well. They'd really only like represent like so many Pikmin enemies and things. It's like they would only show like a very small fraction of what you'd think they'd show. And another thing is the fact that the impact of really cool crossover stages, like Mute City for instance, would be lost. Like, I think crossover stages and characters, like once in a while, are cool. Like, I think like the F-Zero ideas in Mario Kart 8 were really cool, and I'd like to see that like every once in a while. But I feel like that would lose its impact if they relied on crossovers too much, or just leaned too much into the crossover element. Like, Mute City and Big Blue in Mario Kart 8 are really how I think they should handle the crossovers. Like, have it like every once in a while, and have like a really cool representation of it as well. Like, that is one of the few times where like a representation of it in like a small, compact form actually works really well. So that is kind of along the lines of how I want to see crossover things, like more sparingly, rather than kind of overused, or the whole theme around something. But yeah, do I not want to see any crossover characters or levels in Mario games at all? No. I think it's cool every once in a while, like I said. All I'm saying is that it shouldn't become a major part of the franchise's identity. I really wouldn't want a 3D Mario game to be based on the idea of being a crossover, because that would be the first 3D Mario game since 64 to not have any original characters, or have any new Mario locations or worlds and things. But the extent of a crossover in a 3D Mario game should be something secret, or like a DLC level, kind of like the levels that were in Sonic Lost World, kind of like for like Zelda, or maybe like a Pikmin thing, or Kirby, something like that. Like a little thing, like as an extra, would be really cool. but I don't want to see the whole franchise's identity, at least for a little bit, at least for like one game, revolve around that like crossover element. Because I feel like the franchise has been doing so well lately. We've been on a really good track, like with things like Mario Wonder, the Mario RPG Renaissance, and just like so many things. And Mario Kart 9 so far is looking absolutely incredible. So I really hope, like, whatever rumor that is about, like, 3D Mario being a Nintendo crossover isn't true. And I really don't like the idea of it. Like, even though it is a fairly unlikely idea. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!